Hello guys, Archangel here, and this is my 10 things I want on Rome 2 Total War wish list. Now, I got some of these ideas myself. I've picked some up from the Printer Maston, which I found pretty interesting and want to see them again, but here we go with the 10, in no particular order. Number 10, epic looking ingrained scenery. I want the cities in siege battles to look excellent. I want the walls when they're falling down to look awesome under the catapults and onagers, whatever you want, when they're being tunneled underneath. I want the soldiers on the walls falling down. That must look excellent. I want it was like this in Rome Total War, I believe. Every single building you build in campaign mode to be in your city, in a place. I don't want any cities to look the same. I mean, when you fight in the same city, that can look the same, obviously, but I don't want them to look all the same, like two cities in the map look the same. I want them all to be different, to look different, maybe have different textures, whatever. I want the mountains in the background and the sun to look pretty awesome. Maybe even have the sun set and have a day to night battle if it goes on forever, or no, I doubt. No, I don't think many battles take over 40 minutes. That's kind of a stupid idea right there. Number 9. I don't want a restricted campaign. Take, for instance, Napoleon Total War, or even Shogun 2 Total War, especially for the samurai, actually. Because of all your imperial friends, you couldn't really betray them, so you couldn't expand. Sometimes you got trapped and had to attack over by navies and things. Of course, that was part of the game, but I didn't enjoy it. Napoleon Total War, the campaign map was way too small. It needed to be expanded, so you could go wherever you want. From England, you should have been able to go over to America. Well, you could in Empire Total War, not in Napoleon Total War. You shouldn't be able to go to America at all. The Napoleon Total War map was what it was meant to be, but I didn't like that map at all. I didn't play much campaign in Napoleon Total War, so I want it to be huge. The old Rome Total War map was the size I like, but it can get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'd still love the map. Number 8, one for multiplayer here. Bring back the free-for-all mode. It was so fun having a battle with 6 people. It ended up in 1 versus 1 versus 1 versus 1, or 1v1 fights out of 3 people, but it's awesome to end up as the last person against someone else, and both of you've got depleted armies of probably about less than 100 people sometimes in your entire army, 100 soldiers I should say. That was really good fun. I want to see the free-for-alls coming back in classic battle mode. Number 7, I want to talk about avatar mode here, because I liked avatar mode, but it didn't. I like the classic mode a lot better, choosing your faction, especially in Rome. I mean, in Shogun, the units were the same in pretty much all the factions, so it wasn't so important. Yeah, but in Rome, I definitely want to choose my factions because they'll all have different units. You can learn which factions to play. Maybe keep some elements of avatar mode. You get to make your general, but not you make your faction. The general skill tree was still a little off. I didn't really like that much, because it made people high levels overpowered, and eventually sometimes you were level 2 and your opponent was level 8, especially on days where there weren't a lot of people online. So I want to see that fixed right there. Maybe include an avatar mode, but in fact no, because it might... They did include a classic battle mode on Shogun 2, I'll give them that, but it really didn't work at all. I want to see it work on Rome Total War 2 perfectly like it did in the old Rome Total War. Maybe even just take avatar mode completely out of the game, because really on avatar mode it's going to be a lot harder, because on Rome Total War 2 at least, because there's different units all around the world, and they could pull it off, but I just don't want to see avatar mode. No thank you. You can put your comments on what you think about that below, because that's going to be probably a controversial point, especially the multiplayer players. Number 6, I want to see emerging factions. There weren't any in the old Rome Total War as far as I remember, but they did have them in Barbarian Invasion, they did have them in Medieval 2, so I'm pretty sure they are going to have emerging factions. I want the time period to go slowly, but have a long time period, so you can go through 400, 500 turns before the campaign ends, and make it go through the era of Barbarian Invasion as well, instead of making another expansion pack. So you get the invasion of the Huns and the hordes of barbarians sweeping across to attack Rome, while Rome by then should have expanded. Loads of factions should have been destroyed by then. I can see how it might clash, maybe if, say, Carthage is alive when the Huns come. That's a bit weird. But I want to see emerging factions definitely into this game. Number 5, I want to see divided factions, especially the Hellenic League, which I'll talk about later. And I will talk about now the Greek city-states. They are city-states, and they should then be controlled as a city as a city-state, each city-state should be a faction. Say the Spartans of Sparta should be one, the Corinthians, you name it, they should all be factions. Macedon, yeah, that's pretty much a city-state around there. You should stick with Macedon there, but you should split the Greek city-states up definitely, because they are split up among islands and such. So yeah, the Prince of Macedon touched on that one as well. You can see more about that on his channel, on his video. Number 4, I want to see the idea of having rebels completely abolished. I don't like the rebels, because there was no really faction that was at war with everyone on the map, was there? I mean, in Medieval 2 they had the rebels, which they probably shouldn't have. They could have put factions like Wales, Scotland, Ireland in there. Could have had all sorts of factions, the Northern French factions, and they need to all split them in, like Napoleon Total War had major and minor factions. I wouldn't mind seeing that in Rome Total War. Have the minor factions being, you can go in diplomacy with them, but attacking them doesn't lose so much reputation with other factions, so it keeps that kind of expansive into the rebel territory feel to it. So if you attack them, then no one really cares apart from their good allies, which that should be how it goes. Number 3, unit balance, especially on multiplayer. I mean, urban cohorts versus phalanxes was pretty unfair. They could just throw the peeler charge in and break them, whereas historically the urban cohorts tended to flank the phalanxes, and that's how they got through and beat the phalanxes and became dominant Rome in the east around Greece. And yeah, unit balance with cataphracts as well. I mean, when you're playing, say, Armenia versus one of the Roman factions, the Armenians tend to just take full cataphracts and they could still win due to the Romans having weaker cavalry to the cataphracts, even though they are really good, and the urbans can't really they can't compete with a cataphract, 2 units of cataphracts flanking them and charging them. Number 2, I want to see really good historical battles. I want there to be loads of historical battles, not like in Shogun 2 where you had to go through a storyline or whatever. I just want to see loads of historical battles. You can make so many, you have to split them up into different sections on the menu. Say have a section for Rome battles, Carthaginian battles, Greek battles, Eastern battles, barbarian battles, as you fight for those factions, or those group of factions at least, and just have loads and loads of historical battles, all the great battles that people know, some of the ones that people might not know. I don't know many historical battles that appeared in Rome Total War, let alone if there's more. So yeah, I want to see lots of historical battles because I love playing them, and great cutscenes and things like that in them too. And finally, I will touch back on the idea of the Hellenic factions, especially in the east where the Seleucids are. I want to see a lot more Hellenic factions, because really the area of Turkey was just conquered by barbarian rebels. Where I want to, touching back on the factions idea again, I don't want to see any rebels. I want to see the minor factions, even the minor Hellenic League factions with the start of only one city. Say, it would just, you don't have to be able to play them. You should be able to play every faction in the game. That's another point. You should be able to play every faction, no matter how good or underpowered or bad they are. There should just be a thing saying on the menu, this faction is very hard to play, like there is. It's easy, medium, or hard start on. I think it's Medieval Total War gives you that. I think all the games actually give you that. So people would be warned not to play them, and if they do play them, then it's their own loss. You should be able to play every faction, because everyone has a historical interest in every faction. At least one person will know what faction this is and will want to play them, even though they can't be unlocked. So you should be able to play every single faction in campaign mode. But that's it for my video today. I will be coming up with all the news on Rome 2 Total War as it comes out. I can't expect much yet because it's only just been announced. I'm sure they'll be putting trailers up in a few months' time and information of the game up on the website, and they'll be making the Rome 2 Total War website, which they haven't currently made at the moment. They've just got the usual Total War site and a few previews of Rome Total War with pictures. Rome 2 Total War, sorry. Jesus. But yeah, thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you soon, and I will be making more Shogun 2 videos.